wake that ass up.
Early in the morning.
The Breakfast Club.
All right, we got our guest co-host Willie D here, and we got to remind you, tomorrow is Living Black. That's
right.
Our annual love letter, they say, to black culture as we celebrate a 50th anniversary of hip-hop. It's hosted by our very own Jess Hilarious.
Drop on the clues bombs for Jess Hilarious. It actually says hosted by the Black Effect's own Jess Hilarious.
You're not just going to take her.
That's my sister, man.
That's our very own Jess Hilarious.
Drop on the clues bombs for Jess Hilarious. That's our sister.
There you go.
That is.
All right, performances by Usher, Miguel, Glorilla, Coco Jones, and more. Special appearances by LL Cool J, Lola Brooke, Chloe, Roddy Ricch. The Breakfast Club will be in the building, and a host of others. You can hear it on all iHeartRadio, hip-hop, and R&B stations tomorrow at 7 p.m.
Yeah, Big Boy, Nyla Simone. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're going to be there.
That's right. So you can check it out on, it streams on iHeartRadio, YouTube, and Facebook channels.
Okay. How you been feeling about all the 50th anniversary celebrations, Willie? You think they've been doing a good job?
Shit's whack.
No, you can't say. You can't say.
My
that.
bad. My bad.
Let's rewind. Try it again. Try it again, Charlamagne. Go.
Willie, what do you think of all the 50th anniversary celebrations of hip hop? How you been feeling them?
It's whack.
Okay.
Why you say it's whack?
It's whack.
Why?
Because a lot of it is overlooking many of the contributors.
Mm-hmm.
And, while some people may say, well, at least they're showing some love. At least hip-hop is getting some attention. Oh, man, it should be done right or it shouldn't be done at all.
But you know what I do like, Willie? A lot of artists that weren't necessarily on tour or weren't necessarily getting booked like that are getting booked like never before. And they're getting money that they haven't seen in years. And I do love that.
Yeah, that's good for those artists and their fans. But what about the other artists and their fans?
Like who?
I mean, there's a number of artists. I mean, I ain't got to go through the list, man, but there's a number of artists out there who has contributed greatly to hip hop,
mm-hmm.
who is not in that mix and who is not in that discussion. And all you got to do, if you really are real hip hop fans, y'all know who those artists are. I ain't got to name them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't think you can even celebrate 50 years of hip hop in a year. You know what I mean? Or in a matter of months. Like
it's the year, but the reason I said it,
if you are gonna do it, I think everybody should do their own thing. Like the East Coast should have one specific to them, West Coast should have one specific to them, the South should have one specific to them. Like it all should be curated by people from those areas.
What you mean, shows, concerts? When you talking about TV
like
performances?
Yeah.
I just like the fact that these
that.
artists are getting booked though. Like you look at some of these artists that I'm always on the road, so the fact that I'm seeing these artists performing, like I just seen a video of Rakim and he's performing in front of 20,000 people.
Mm-hmm.
I seen a video the other day of Slick Rick, Special Ed, Grandmaster Flash. I've seen so many different from those eras to Run to Salt and Pepper to whoever. But I haven't seen a lot of these artists on the road before like that. But I'm seeing them a lot now, and I just love to see those brothers getting that bread.
Now check this out. To Charlamagne's point, that's why we should have these celebrations in different regions. Mm-hmm. Each region is celebrating their own because all those artists you just named are East Coast artists.
Well, that's where I'm from.
Exactly.
And that's the era. That's the region.
Exactly. And
I
people
see.
And people that are in powerful positions like you, who reel off those type of names and stuff, it's projected to the wider audience. Yep. And they say what Charlamagne said. To them, those are the only people that matter because a lot of people they miss. Yeah. And when the Grammys host a 50-year anniversary salute or whatever they call it, and they decide who they're going to put on the stage, that means that to the greater audience, this is who's relevant. This is who really made it happen. Yeah. These are the people who really count. Yeah. And so those other people are dismissed, and that's not right. That's cool if your favorite guy is on the stage. That's great. But what about the other guys who made great contributions who did not get the call?
That's right.
That ain't right, man. That's not right. And it's easy for a fan who saw their audience who saw their artist, their favorite guy, get on stage and do his thing. That's easy for them to say, "Oh man, stop complaining. Hey man, at least I got to see this, or I got to see that." But you ain't put in 30 years. You ain't put in 35, 40 years of hip-hop contributions. You ain't been in the studio writing the music, doing the tours, getting kicked off of tours, fighting with your label mates and fighting for more money from the label, fighting for respect for the culture. You ain't pulled up on the DJs and say, yo, man, you know, what about this song you told me you was gonna play, man? You know, like you ain't stood outside passing out CDs. You ain't did none of that. So it's easy for you to just jump in the comment section or the comment section and just run your mouth. That's not cool, man. It's not cool. It's not cool at all. And it's not, for me, it's not just about me. I know a lot of people who deserved to have gotten that call, man, and they didn't get it.
But I'm just asking.
Hit the rumor report intro.
Well, I'm just asking what artists that we're not seeing.
Rumor has it.
Call out a
Tell me
name,
something.
or you gossiping, or
I
you
can't
chatting.
even begin to talk about it. It's a bunch.
There's so many. Tell me.
And it depends on what you're talking about specifically. If you're talking about the Grammys,
We just talking hip hop artists, because I'm seeing more old school artists on the road. Which I'm saying.
To Willie D's point, all you did was name East Coast artists. You know how many artists contributed to hip hop from the West Coast, from the South?
Right, but I'm on the
Texas,
East Coast, so these
to
are the
Florida.
artists that I see.
Okay, then. So don't ask stupid questions
like in the
and
South,
say,
they
who
just-
are we missing?
but like
you missing mad people from the East Coast.
Like who? People are on the road. I'm saying that before this year, these artists weren't on the road at all.
I don't even know if that's true.
They weren't. None of these tours were selling out like
Well,
that.
well,
They weren't doing well.
some of
Now
them-
there's more
some
and
of
more
them-
tours. Some of them, yes.
Some
it
of
was
them.
the same old tour. It seemed like going around and around and around. But now I'm seeing artists outside of that same that usual realm performing more.
But
And I'm
with the
seeing this-
exception of Cool, I think you mentioned Cool Herc, but with the exception of Cool
Grandmaster Flash.
yeah, with the exception of Grandmaster Flash, all of those artists you make, Slick Rick and
They're always
Rakim,
in.
they're always working. They're always getting money. So, they may be playing bigger crowds, but they've always played big crowds. They're probably playing bigger crowds more frequently now, but they've always played big crowds.
Yeah, like I'm looking now at the Shot Boys, Trillville, Pastor Troy, Crime Mob, Young Dro, Young Bloods. They got a show in 18. Like I'm seeing more of it.
But that's
DJ
an
Khaled.
Atlanta show.
Yeah, but I'm seeing
that's happening in
more,
Atlanta.
But I'm seeing more and more of those shows happening.
But think about
you
it.
never seen before.
The Grammys ain't going to invite none of them people that
I'm
you
not
talking
worried about the Grammys. Grammys don't
But a lot of
respect
people,
and appreciate us that
a
much
lot of people
anyway.
not going to invite a lot of the people that you just named, like the Shop Boys and all of those.
Yeah,
guys
but
like
you're
that.
seeing more of it on the road.
But
That's what I'm saying.
it takes a show in Atlanta to curate a show for Atlanta to recognize those guys that have contributed.
But honestly, before the 50th anniversary, you wouldn't have seen a show like that. I don't think they would have did a show like that. You weren't seeing shows like that.
That show, though, that tour you just mentioned is not related to the Grammys at all.
No, I wasn't talking Grammys. The Grammys don't do nothing for us anyway. I'm not talking Grammys. Like
So they can't get the credit for that show.
That was not the Grammys. I was talking about 50th anniversary.
By the way,
hip
that
hop.
was actually one of the. I loved the podcast that Willie D and Face got a podcast on the Black Effect Network called Ghetto Boys Reloaded.
Yep.
And the last episode y'all did together was actually you addressing Face as to why he didn't. He shouldn't have done the Grammys without you.
Right.
Yes, and I thoroughly enjoyed that conversation.
Yeah.
Have y'all gotten past that? Or have y'all talked since then?
But for people that don't know, Face performed at the Grammys without Willie D, of course.
Yes,
It should have been a Ghetto Boys.
should have been Ghetto
reunion.
Boys,
Yeah, and
especially being that he didn't mind playing tricks.
yeah, and just to let everybody know, I did talk to one of the Grammys trustees, and he did tell me that well, in fact, we were talking about something that was totally unrelated to the Grammys, and he was like, "Yeah, man, and by the way, about that Grammys thing, yeah, you were right. They did call and ask for the Ghetto Boys."
Hold on, we got to come back and talk about this. Let's do Donkey Today. Come back and talk about this.
All right.
Let's talk about this.
All right. Well, Donkey Today up next.
Yes. 4 after the hour is going to a scammer named Linda Johnson, but she's a scam artist, and we also have to understand why they're called artists. They do paint a pretty picture. She didn't think this one all the way through, though.
All right, we'll get to it next. It's the Breakfast Club. Good morning.
Wake that ass up. Wake that ass up. The Breakfast Club.